In 1962, a film exploded onto movie screens all over the world that was destined to become a classic.
Why is all of this being done? What have they built you to do?
Tell me, Raymond, have you ever killed anyone?
No, ma'am.
Not even in combat?
In combat?
Raymond, show, please.
This is he.
Raymond, why don't you pass the time by playing a little solitaire?
26 years later, John Frankenheimer, the director, George Axelrod, the writer, and Frank Sinatra, the film's star, reunite for the first time to discuss the making of The Manchurian Candidate.
When you became part of it, it became a real movie. I mean, without you, we wouldn't have had a movie.
Thank you very much.
No, but that's true. When you did something that most people just don't do, and which is that you committed to this on faith in us.
I remember that, yes.
It was really a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful experience. And you let me do what I was able to do. You let George do what he was able to do. There was none of this constant interference that you read about today.
It's so simple to explain. We three people believed what we were doing. We wouldn't have been together if we hadn't believed it. And I think that really was the answer to how it came about. It's not the fact that I let you do what you wanted to do. Not at all.
From my point of view, I remember two things that you contributed that were extraordinary because you didn't really know you were contributing. I was working on the script in New York, but this time you were in California, and a certain amount of time had elapsed. And and you were very, very patient. You hadn't seen the script yet. And finally you called and said, I'd like to see some pages. And it's been quite a while. I don't mean 20 pages. I mean, I would like to see a few more pages than 20 pages. As it happened, you were absolutely psychic. I had 20 pages. So in absolute panic, I finally got my stuff together. I had all the stuff laying out. I'd never put it together. I was frightened. Yeah. Over the weekend, I got you 80 pages and sent it. I would never have pushed the thing over and got the first 80 had you not suddenly given it a little push. And the second thing I recall was, you remember the monster time we had shooting? Remember Johnny shooting 6 or 7 days shooting the dream sequence?
Oh, yeah.
You remember?
Oh, yes,
what a
of
nightmare
course.
shooting that thing
yeah.
was. You had to shoot it from every different angle.
That's correct.
With every different combination.
And Frank finished in the picture, if you recall, and he was going to leave. So we just said, let's cut it together, just make a quick rough cut for Frank. And we did that afternoon. Showed us, and we never changed it.
No, we never did.
Yeah, I was, earlier this afternoon, I was remembering and discussing your marvelous invention, changing the ladies of the Garden of New Jersey into the communist Chinese and Russians. And that knocked me out.
Marvelous outlet for his aggressions. May I have the bayonet, please?
Not with the knife, with the hands.
With the hands? Here, have him use this.
United Artists said we're scared to make this thing because it is so, they said, so anti-Russian, which it wasn't. And it wasn't, of course, but they said, and if President Kennedy, a year from now when this picture is released, if Kennedy is just about to have some sort of a rapport with the Russians, it's going to embarrass them. Mm-hmm. And you said, I just came down from Hyannisport, and I saw the president, and the president said, what are you going to do next? And I said, the Manchurian Candidate. And he said, great, who's going to play the mother? Well, that sort of ended that argument, if you remember.
He was really interested, though, in the facts of the project itself.
The fact that people have read all kinds of connotations into this thing is funny, because we set out to do Dick Condon's book. That's what we did.
Right.
We did all sorts of strange things, but we did them so automatically. I mean, it's rather strange that Angela Lansbury was 1 year older than Larry Harvey and played his mother. And nobody questioned it for a second.
She was superb.
She was just wonderful.
Absolutely marvelous in the picture. And she was sinister. She really
God,
was.
Terrifying.
She was a heavy.
But now we have come almost to the end. One last step. And then when I take power, they will be pulled down and ground into dirt for what they did to you. And what they did in so contemptuously underestimating me.
In the book, there's quite a big thing about the incestuous relationship between the mother and son. But somehow, the way she played it at the very end, she implied it very subtly and very, very, very effectively, I thought.
She kissed him straight on the
straight
lips,
on,
and then
yeah.
and then she put a period to the whole idea, whether is she or isn't she, was the whole point.
Yeah.
And Frank, I think another thing, too, that might be interesting to talk about, which is the fact that in those days, when we made that picture, we weren't able to do all the graphic violence that they do today. I think it made it a better movie.
And we had the first karate fight that anybody ever had in the picture.
That's the first one.
First one, yeah.
With Henry Silva. The sequence where I walked up to the door looking for Larry, and Henry Silva opened the door, there was a moment where he knocked me down, and I said to him, kick at my face with your left foot. The scene started, and he came at me, and he kicked with the other foot. I want to tell you something. I never moved so fast in my whole life. I just shoved everything over to one side like that, and he caught it in the fist. I broke my finger in that thing. You see that?
War wound. Is that your wound from the Manchurian Candidate?
Yeah, that's my war wound. When I went for his head and hit the table, and broke the table.
That's right.
It was a solid table, and they cut into it. And there was a movement where I hit him, and he fell against the table. When the rehearsal, I said, that's the right position. Either he didn't hear well, or he didn't know left or right. It's a good thing it was rehearsal. But he moved into the area where I was going to bring my hand down. When we talked, and either one of you said, what role would you like to play? And I said, I'd like to play the Marco, the guy in the service, the soldier. Because I knew that the slightly tougher role was the role that I wanted to play. I wouldn't have known how to play the thing that Larry did.
Well, as it turns out, it was sure the right choice.
Right choice.
That symbol was a grabber, the Queen of Diamonds.
Absolutely.
And he played off it so well. When he said, how about a little solitaire? Well, his eyes kind of got almost crossed, you know?
Why don't you pass the time by playing a little solitaire?
Larry was a fine actor. He was a marvelous actor.
Wonderful.
Yes, he was.
Good actor. He left us too soon, I must say. I go back and think about things we did, little moments we did. And I remember the wonderful enthusiasm on the part of everybody involved in the film. And I mean it sincerely. I'm talking about grips, the assistant cameraman, the cameraman. Everybody was excited about doing the picture, which made, I think, was 30 to 40% of the enthusiasm came from those people, and it helped. It really did help. It was a wonderful, wonderful experience in my life. It really was. I think it only happens once in a performer's life. Once.